Welcome to the Ubuntu Room, where we talk all things personal empowerment, all things spiritual development, and everything in between. A place where we recognize that the power is in our hands to create the lives that we desire, and that everything we seek is actually within us. So whether you're peeking around the corner with curiosity, or you're sitting in the thick of it with your own spiritual development, I have a feeling there's something here for you. So grab your notebooks, people, and let's get to it. Hi, my name is Dana Sardano, and this is the Ubuntu Room. I am so glad you're here. Thank you for joining me. For those of you who are new to who I am and what I do, in the Ubuntu Room, we talk all things personal empowerment and all things spiritual development. And for those of you who have been following along, last episode, we talked chakras. And if you know me, you know I like to talk chakras. And just to give you a little bit of a recap, if you missed, essentially we talked about the 7 energy centers in our body and the importance of understanding that these energy centers are all in line with a different aspect of self. And when our energy centers are out of alignment, then these aspects of ourselves, safety, security, authenticity, discernment, then they're out of balance. And when they're out of balance, our life becomes out of balance. So understanding our energy centers is not only essential in our lives, but understanding that the chakras in our energy centers are essential is what's important, what's leading up to the conversation today. So today we are talking manifestation. I am so excited to talk manifestation because it is a word that gets thrown around a lot and is misinterpreted a lot. And today we're breaking it down. So if you haven't grabbed your notebook yet, grab your notebook because we're getting really to the basics, to the nitty gritty, to the core of what makes manifestation actually a thing, what makes it work. So, talking about the chakras, again, Dana likes to talk chakras, but talking about the chakras, we have to subscribe to the idea, and I think most of us do, that everything is energy. And I also think most of us buy into the idea that there is one creative, energetic source that we are all connected to in one way or another. Now, call that energetic source what you will. Call it source. Call it universe, call it God, call it Hashem, call it Allah, call it what you will. But this energetic source not only exists, but we are all fractals, extensions of this source. So when we understand that our energy centers need to be free-flowing in order to get the full benefit of this creativity, to be the divine creators ourselves, to be the best versions of ourselves, then we will learn how to better manifest. So, creative source, energetic source, our chakras are all in line, our energy centers are all free-flowing, and we are ready to align with that which we desire. We are ready to manifest. So let's get one thing straight out of the gate. You ready? Manifestation is not magic. Manifestation is not making a wish, throwing the image on your vision board and hoping for the best. Manifestation is not standing under the moonlight with a crystal in each hand, wishing for your dreams to come true. Manifestation is not even writing things in your journal, setting your intentions, lighting a candle, and again, hoping for the best. I'll tell you what manifestation is. Manifestation is creation. That is all it is. Because if we are creators of our reality, because we are an extension of a greater creator, then we are manifesting our desires. Now, unfortunately, manifestation is misunderstood. And I think people try to do the things to manifest. And when it doesn't work out, they become discouraged and they dismiss it as garbage. But I'll tell you, there are 3 simple steps to manifestation. You ready? We're going to go full infomercial on this. There's 3 simple steps to manifestation. But if you haven't grabbed your notebook, grab it now, because this is important, and I'm telling you, it's so important that you understand this, that there is a formula to this. And if you don't bypass, if you actually do the things and do them in the way that the formula works, you will create the life that you desire, because you are already creating. Look around, look at your job, look at your life, look at your experience. That's of your creation. The key is to create what you want. So if you don't like what's around you, listen up. You ready? 3 steps to manifestation. Step 1. Set your intention. Now that's easy enough. You ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want? What do you want? I want a new car. I want a new job. I want a new relationship. Like, what do you want? So I'm going to give you an example. I want a relationship, a loving, healthy relationship. That is what I want. So I write it down. I want a loving, healthy relationship, right? Okay. Now, step 1A is to figure out the frequency of that loving, healthy relationship. Well, what does that mean? Figure out the frequency. Well, if you buy into the fact that everything is energy, you understand that everything is always moving. Energy is always moving. Everything is vibrating. It's vibrating at a frequency. So how do I know what the frequency is of what it is I want? Glad you asked. So here's the thing. Here is a simple, like watered down, like long and the short of it explanation of frequency. There's science, there's explanations that are far deeper. I actually write about it, but I'm just gonna totally simplify it. If something vibrates faster and it is lighter, it has a higher frequency. If something vibrates slower and is denser, it has a lower frequency. Well, how do I know how to detect the frequency? Well, we talked about this a couple episodes ago. You have to be tapped into your personal GPS. Now, my first few episodes, I talked about chakras, talked about personal GPS, talked about our beliefs creating our reality. And you probably wondered, where's she going with this? We're going right here, right now, figuring out how to manifest. So your personal GPS, one aspect, and again, if what I'm saying resonates, go back and take a listen, because this is really, really beneficial to what it is you're doing moving forward. So one aspect of your personal GPS is your emotional guidance. It's that simple. Your emotions are telling you what the frequency is. So if I'm feeling emotions, you know, the good feeling ones of like love and joy and excitement and inspiration, that is alerting me that whatever it is I'm experiencing is of a higher frequency. It's eliciting those emotions. My emotions are telling me that this is a higher frequency. If I'm feeling angst and frustration and anger and fear, those emotions are alerting me to a lower frequency. There's more to it, but the long and the short, it's really that simple. So how do I identify the frequency of my intention? Well, again, back to my example, my intention is I want a healthy relation, a healthy, loving relationship, right? But what do I really want? Well, I want to feel secure. I want to feel cared for. I want to feel nurtured. I want to feel respected. So we'll just start with those. I want to feel those. I want to feel the frequency of nurturing, security, caring, and all that. So I have just set my intention. That is what I'm going to write down. My intention, manifestation 101. I want a relationship, a loving, healthy relationship. What is the frequency of that loving, healthy relationship? Caring, nurturing, security, and whatever else it is I said. That is the frequency. That's number 1. Step 2 of manifestation is to align with that frequency. Now, I throw the word alignment around all the time. Alignment. Everything is alignment, right? You got alignment of the stars. You go to the chiropractor, they align your spine. You go to the mechanic, they align your car. I'm talking about aligning your chakras. But aligning with that frequency is simply sidling up next to it. Think about it when you park a boat. You don't bash the boat into the dock. You parallel, you sidle up against it. You align with it. So if I want this relationship, I need to do things in my life of the same frequency so I could align with that frequency. If I want to be loved and nurtured and cared for, I can't slide into the dock with feelings of desperation and loneliness. The frequencies just don't align. So I have to do things that feel good, do things that I love, do things that align with self-care. Self-care could be as simple as a bubble bath, as complicated as setting boundaries or cutting toxic ties. I have to do things that align with the frequency of self-respect. Maybe saying no unapologetically. I have to do things that align with somebody who feels secure. Because if I'm carrying insecurities, again, I am not going to align with that frequency. So, step one, set your attention. Figure out what the frequency is of that intention. Use your emotional guidance to understand that frequency. Step two is to align with that frequency by doing things in your life of a similar frequency. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be apples to apples. It doesn't have to be with a relationship. It could be with your dog. It could be with your coworkers, especially with yourself. Self-respect, self-care. And again, I'm just giving this one example. You could apply this to anything that you want. And then, step three is to allow, because you've now you aligned the frequency, allow experiences, opportunities to show up for you to then now create what it is that you want. So if I say I want this relationship, doesn't mean I'm sitting home eating bonbons, binging Netflix, hoping he'll show up. I have to do things. I have inspired action. And I'll tell you this, if you were constantly doing things that you're aligning that frequency, you're going to get the nudges, you're going to get the inspired action. You're going to do that. You're going to go to the place that turns out he shows up there because you feel inspired to go there. So it really is that simple. 3 steps to manifestation. But there is a but. There is a but. There's always a but, but there is a but. Circling back to step 2. Yes, you can do things that align with the frequency, but sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes I did the things, right? I did the things that made me feel joy, and I did the things that made me feel self-respected and that made me feel appreciated. I did the things. But yet, this thing that is not what I wanted showed up. This thing is a little bit different. It's not as good, but this thing is just a mirror to what your frequency is. So if this guy shows up with all the things except he's disrespectful, this disrespectfulness is showing me what I still need to work on. So not only do I have to do the things, but I also have to clear out the obstacles, because sometimes there is more deep-seated core energy that blocks us. And then we think that the process isn't working, but really it requires us to look within. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. And when we return, I'm going to talk about what that looks like, how to remove those obstacles, and how to manifest the life that you desire. When we go to commercial, if anything I'm saying is resonating, I highly recommend you listen to what is being offered, because I create all sorts of resources. I write books, I do talks, I do all sorts of stuff to assist you in this process. So if what you're picking up, what I'm putting down, take a listen. On that note, I'll catch you on the other side.
Greatness isn't something you chase, it's cultivated. The Ubuntu Girl's Guide to Greatness, written by Dana Sardano, is rooted in self-dedication, personal growth, and simply living in greatness. Inside, you'll find empowering prompts, hot tips, and space to journal your reflections. Featuring vibrant artwork by Dana Sardano, this is more than a book. It's a visual celebration of feminine power in all its forms. Bold, colorful, and unapologetically authentic. Ready to be great? Grab the Ubuntu Girl's Guide to Greatness at ubuntufishgallery.com. Also available as a beautifully designed deck of cards to bring greatness wherever you go.
Ready to stop playing small and finally step into your power? Grab the 10 Rex trilogy written by Dana Sardano for badass personal growth warriors who are done settling and ready to evolve. 10 Recommendments for Personal Empowerment gives you the tools to create real change, break limiting patterns, and become empowered in every area of your life. Then Beyond the 10, Decoding the Woo-Woo, helps you make sense of all the magical, mystical, and what the hell is happening to me moments that show up once you begin your spiritual journey. And when you're ready for the ultimate transformation, you've cracked the code. The Woo is You. Takes a deep dive so you can create a life that feels aligned, grounded, and fully yours, because the Woo isn't out there. The Woo is you. The 10 Rex trilogy is available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook at ubuntufishgallery.com. And fun fact, every audiobook is narrated by Dana Sardano herself, with all the sass, soul, and woo included. No extra charge.
You're watching the Ubuntu Room with Dana Sardano. For more information about Dana's artwork and resources, go to ubuntufishgallery.com. UBU, NTU, fishgallery.com. Hi, welcome back to the Ubuntu Room. I'm so glad you came back. So, we have been talking about manifestation, and as you could see by my level of excitement, it's really my second favorite thing to talk about. And I bet you can guess what my first, I'll just tell you, it's chakras. I love talking chakras. I love talking manifestation, because when we understand this energy, when we understand that we are all energy and how to navigate it, how to read it, how to decode it, how to manipulate it, we can create worlds for ourselves. So I get super excited, and I know the information could be a little daunting, but I can't stress enough, if you trust that there's any truth to what I'm saying, just start small and watch what happens in your life. Watch the changes. So we were talking about the pitfalls, about the obstacles that come along when we're trying to manifest. We're trying to do all the things, right? We're trying to experience joy and pet puppies and, and self-care and take bubble baths and do the things so we can manifest, but what we want is not showing up. So here is what happens. There is a whole energetic footprint that we carry that, if we're not paying attention, can belie the energy that we're looking to align with. We carry beliefs and patterns and all sorts of traumas and tribulations. We carry them. Some of it we carry in our tissues, some of it we carry in our psyche. And what it does is it creates a block between what we want and what we're doing. So the only way to remove those obstacles is to dig. And I hate to say it. We need to dig. We need to go into the lower frequency, transmute it, so we could come up and meet the frequency that we want to align with. I call it finding your pony. And I'll tell you, might as well tell you, because it's I name everything. But back when I was probably in my early 30s, I was dating every single guy that was wrong with me. I mean, it was like red flags everywhere, like it was like my thing. And I had a really good friend, and she was considerably older than me, and she was married, and she had all the experience, and she was like, make fun of me. She'd be like, oh, there she is again. Dana's digging in the doo-doo. I'm cleaning it up, by the way. Dana's digging in the doo-doo for her pony. And she said it all the time. And I bring a new guy that I tried to change, and then I try to convince was something that he's not. Oh, she's digging in the doo-doo again. And it always stuck with me because it angered me, because I knew she was right. But the idea of digging to find your pony to manifest what you want makes total sense. So when we are blocked and something shows up that we don't want, use that as a mirror. What is that telling me about my self-respect? What is that telling me about my self-worth? What is that telling me about my self-sabotage? And this thing that shows up will tell you, it will show you. I'll just give you an example. when I was in middle school, and I'm going to give you the really super quick version. I write about this in books. If anything interests you, feel free to pick one up. But when I was in middle school, my parents had just gotten divorced, and this is after a very dysfunctional situation, very tumultuous relationship. And I lived with my father when I was in the 8th grade, and he was known for his volatility. And we would fight all the time, and after a big blowout, I would go to my room, and I would just fall apart. And one thing, and I've never talked about this publicly, but one thing that I would do is I had a desk drawer, and in that desk drawer, I had 2 birthday cards from the 2 years prior, both from my father. And one of them was a little girl holding a flower, and the other one was a little girl holding a bunny. And both of them, they looked like me, so I could tell how he saw me. And they said whatever they said inside, and they both closed with, "I love you, Dad." And I would look at these cards and I would cry because I never understood how this person who was just so terrible and monstrous to me, how this person can also love me. It was very confusing. And I didn't realize that and a bunch of other dysfunctional beliefs and experience I carried into adulthood. But what I carried with me was, oh, love comes with pain. Love comes with consequence, with abuse. And when they show you a little bit of kindness, oh, forgive it because you've got this card or you got this present or you got this piece of kindness. Any kind of abuse is forgivable. And so now I'm trying to align with this loving, nurturing relationship with this belief. And the more that showed itself to me, that pattern showed up over and over in my adulthood, I had to dig for that pony and recognize that energetic signature that belied what it was I said I wanted. And when I did that, I raised along with the other things, doing the fun things, I raised my frequency a little bit more. And it comes in layers. And then the next person comes in and shows you where your frequency is. And that's what we need to be doing to remove the obstacles. So I look at digging for your pony or removing the obstacles like the good old 1-2 punch. Do the things that you love and address the things that you don't. And when you do both of those things, you then transmute, you change that energy, and you raise that frequency. So to come full circle, you set your intention and you identify the frequency of what it is you want based on the emotions that it elicits and how you want to feel. Then you align with that frequency by doing the things that you love or that align with those emotions. And you address the things that you don't. You dig for that pony. And then you don't chase it, you allow for circumstances and opportunities to show up. Maybe it's a thought. Maybe a friend has an idea, wants you to go somewhere. Maybe you get a nudge to do something you normally wouldn't do. And you do those things, and you will see layer by layer, you begin to create a life different from what you knew before. You're creating a life in this new frequency. It truly is foolproof if you are committed to yourself without bypassing the yucky stuff, because the yucky stuff is part of the equation. It's really pretty amazing, and I encourage you just to give it a go. And if anything I'm saying resonates and you have questions and you want to connect, go to my website. Hit me up. I'm happy to clarify anything. And if you don't want to talk to me directly, I get it. I'm not as charming as I think I am. But if you go to my website and you look at my books, they're all like guides, each one of them. And there's something that I wanted to mention. I was thinking about this on my car ride here, that if you were to look at my body of work, it appears that it is specific to women. And I'm just here to tell you that it's not. I happen to be a woman, and I happen to be an artist, and I like to paint women. I like to paint women and children. It's just an expression of who I am. So I put them everywhere. I put them on my books and stuff like that. So you pick up my books, and there's women all over them. But my books, especially the 10 Rex trilogy, is about every single one of us aligning ourselves to create the lives that we desire. The 10 Rex trilogy, I happen to have them right here. 10 Recommendments for Personal Empowerment is really about understanding the basic tenets in life and how to apply them to yourself, clear out the stuff that isn't working for you, clear out the toxic beliefs, the toxic behaviors and toxic patterns, and really create a life of empowerment. Its follow-up beyond the 10 decoding the woo-woo is when you get to this place and all of a sudden these words start showing up: alignment, manifestation, chakras. And it really breaks it down to understand, to make sense that this is all just a part of us. This is not woo, this is not outside of us, and really makes the mystical and magical real and applicable. And then it's follow-up. For those of you who are still in the game and you really want to roll up your sleeves and you really want to look at yourselves and become the best version of yourself, the most connected to that all-powerful creative source, clearing out all the obstacles that may obstruct your greatest abilities, you've cracked the code. The woo is you. And I'll tell you something else, little shameless plug. I just completed the 3rd journal for all the 3 books. Now, each book has an accompaniment. So if you're really ready to do the work and you don't just want to read it at the beach for fun, you really want to roll up your sleeves, you really want to have a notebook and take notes, I have journals for all 3 of them. There it is. I write for kids, I write for adolescents, I create cards, I create artwork. I have made it my mission to assist you. Only you could do the work. Only you drive the ship to your life. But I'm here to hand you a map and point you in the direction and make it a little bit easier for you. So with that said, I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you showing up. More so, I appreciate you showing up for yourself because you're worth it. Solar plexus chakra, by the way. So I'll see you next time. Again, thanks for listening. And as always, Ubuntu. Thank you for tuning in to the Ubuntu Room. And more importantly, for taking another step toward a better you. See you next time. And don't forget your notebook.